Hello everybody, Coach Larry here, coming to you from the pool tonight. Hope everybody is having a great new year so far, and I hope you're pursuing your goals. If you didn't get a chance to watch the goal setting exercise or the goal setting Facebook Live from 2 weeks ago, make sure you get a chance to watch that. You can go back on the Facebook Live post, you can check in, and you can read and see all about how to set and achieve exciting goals. So, yes, we're in the new year, and yes, we're into the second week of the new year, but remember, goal setting and goal achieving is for all year long. It's not just something we do at the beginning of the year. So, if you have started making your goals and pursuing your goals, you're probably having to jump a couple of hurdles already. So, also, be sure to watch the Facebook Live broadcast from last week called Jumping Hurdles. Because again, if you are serious about pursuing and achieving great goals, you're going to run into hurdles. You're going to run into challenges, and you got to know how to address those with the right mindset and just the right things to do when those challenges come up. So, yes, we're into the middle part of January, but goal setting is for all year long. So, set your goals, pursue your goals, jump the hurdles that'll come up, keep going, and you will be glad that you did. Now, I know I'm going up against a pretty big adversary tonight, and that adversary is the divisional playoffs of the NFL, the Chiefs and the Raiders. No, sorry. Wow, what a faux pas. The Chiefs and the Steelers. But I can't imagine anything better than watching Sunday night 1-to-1. So you can tune back into the game after this riveting broadcast, because we're going to be talking about dress rehearsals. Dress rehearsals and how they are the secret value of in-season swim meets. But before we get started, I wanted to give a quick shout out to all the swimmers who did 1-to-1 sessions this weekend. We had 9 sessions. It was a great and productive weekend. We had George and Addie and Lindsay. They were all on Saturday. They did a great job. And today we had Neely and Issa and Chloe and Sophie and Paige and Tyler. So great job, guys. We worked on all sorts of things. We worked on turns, we worked on underwaters, we worked on starts, we worked on pacing, butterfly, backstroke, breaststroke, freestyle, breathing. We worked on all sorts of things. It was really, really cool. Excellent job this weekend. So excited for you guys to work on those skills once you get back to practice. Make sure you're listening to your coaches. Make sure you check in with your coaches during your practices. Ask them for feedback. The coaches are there to help you become better and better swimmers. Got it? Good. All right, so we had really good stuff going on today. Also this weekend, speaking of in-season meets, I know the swimmers that I work with, there were 4 different meets going on this weekend alone that people were participating in. We had the Novant meet here in Charlotte. We had a meet down in Rock Hill. We had the Austin Grand Prix going out in Texas, and we had a bunch of kids going down to Augusta for the ASL meet. So some really cool stuff going on this weekend, not only here at the 1-to-1 sessions, but also out during your in-season meets. So it is those in-season meets that we want to talk about tonight, because what I'm going to talk to you about tonight and how these in-season meets work, this could be one of the most important messages that you will ever hear about swimming. Not because of the messenger, because of the message. Again, I really can't think of a more important message, especially at this time of year, for swimmers and swim parents to hear, because this is kind of where the rubber meets the road. This is when you wake up and you say, Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. Okay? This is the tough part of the season. But it's the most important part of the season. The most important part of the season is not the end. It's not the beginning. It's right in the thick of things, where you have to understand what's going on and the best way to understand your success and how you're progressing. So let's talk about that. There are 2 main audiences that I'm going to be talking to tonight. Obviously, everybody's welcome to listen in, but my 2 target audiences. Number 1, 13 and over swimmers who are 13 years old and over and older. This is especially important for you because you're living through what I'm about to talk about. The second audience is for swimmers and swim parents who are 12 years, or swimmers who are 12 years old and younger, and their parents, okay? So two main audiences. The 13 and over, I'm speaking directly to you. 12 and unders, I'm speaking to you indirectly, because one day you're gonna be 13 and over. You're gonna be going through some of the things that we're gonna talk about tonight, and I've got the key to success for you. And again, this is one of the most important messages you'll ever hear about the sport of swimming. Not because of the messenger, because of the message. And I'm just bringing it to you. You gotta understand this, because without this, I've seen several swimmers drop out of the sport because they become disenchanted with certain things that we're going to be talking about tonight. But if, with a proper understanding, you can not only survive, but thrive, especially during this time of the year. Just want to say hello to all you guys who are tuning in. Thanks for tuning in tonight. And here we go. Okay, so let's talk first of all about in-season meets as it relates to 12 and unders, okay? Those of you who are 13 and over, you remember what it was like when you were 12 years old and younger, right? And you parents, you'll remember those days as well. It's party city, baby. It is party time. It is like, man, every time you go to a swim meet, you just chalk up those best times. You get into a race, boom, lifetime best time. Hey, not bad. Get into your next race, lifetime best time. Man, this is awesome. Basically, every race that I get into, nailed another one. Nailed another one. I really like this sport, right? I can't miss. I'm just going race after race after race. It is awesome. It is party time. The coach, he's a hero, or she's a hero. He can't miss. This guy must be a genius. He makes these swimmers, oh. I mean, the coaches are great, don't get me wrong. But the coaches of 12 and under swimmers, if your 12 and under swimmer is getting best time, it's not because your coach is a genius. No offense, coaches. You'll know what I'm talking about. It's because your child is going to practice. It's because your child is growing. It's because your child is learning new skills. And those of you who are 12 years old and younger, you swimmers, you know what it's like. It's awesome being at these meets. It's a blast. Probably 90% of the time, 90% of the races, you get a best time. And that's a great ratio, isn't it? It's a great, great time. But then, that fateful day arrives when you turn 13 years old. And something starts to change. You start to notice that 90%, it's not quite 90% anymore. It kind of goes to maybe more like 80%. And then maybe it drops down to 70%. And then it's 50%, especially in the middle of the season. And remember, we're talking about swim meets that take place in season. Now, when you're 13 and older, pretty much when you get to the middle of your season, you're in an in-season meet, you're at about 10%. Probably 10% of the time, you're gonna get your lifetime best times. And all of a sudden, something's not, we're definitely not in Kansas anymore. Your body starts to change. Your muscles get sore. You didn't used to know sore muscles. Well, now your muscles get really sore, right? And the training changes. All of a sudden, your practices go from an hour and 15 minutes long to an hour and a half, or 2 hours, or 2.5 hours long. And you're thinking, man, this is really hard. With all this extra work, I should be getting best times in the middle of the season. But it's not happening. Most of the time, it's not happening. You're doing more dry land exercise. You're doing more push-ups and pull-ups and squats. And your coach is demanding more of you, more and more and more. We're not playing sharks and minnows quite as often as we used to. What? I mean, I am getting up sharks and minnows, and I'm getting up at 4 in the morning, and I'm going to 2.5 hour practices, and I'm squatting and doing push-ups and doing pull-ups and getting sore muscles. Why am I not getting best times? This is a ripoff. This is not what I signed up for. What happened to the glory days of 12 and under swim meets? What happened? Well, what happened is a lot of things change, okay? A lot of things change. And in order to understand and hang in there and survive and thrive as a 13-year-old or older, okay? You got to understand that your training and your success has got to be viewed through a different set of lenses, because otherwise you're going to become really disenchanted. Like I said earlier, a lot of swimmers reach age 13 or 14 or 15 and they say, you know what? It's not fun anymore. It's just not fun anymore. Or the parents, and you parents, you'll know what I'm talking about. You say, you know what? I'm spending hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars, many, many weekends. We're spending money on hotels. We're spending gas money. We have to sign up for these meets and spend all of this money. And my kid, they get in the meet and they're not getting best times. They add 5 seconds. They add 10 seconds. They get in the car and they start complaining, right? And the kids don't want to hear it from the parents, because the parents kind of say, are you okay? You know, are you really tired? Because you added a lot of time there. You didn't get your best time. You missed your best time by like 10 seconds. And the swimmers get aggravated. I know, Mom. I know, Dad. I understand. What's the deal? Okay? So, what's happening is there's a lack of understanding about success at the 13 and over level. And if you don't get anything else from this, you got to understand what happens at age 13 and over. You've got to look through a different set of lenses in order to understand success. Okay? You cannot understand success at the 13 and over level of swimming by looking through the 12 and under lenses. It's not party time anymore. It's tough, and it's supposed to be tough. And if you understand what it's supposed to be, then you will hang in there and you'll have a proper understanding of what success really is. Got to put on the right lenses, then you will understand. Right? Okay, so let's talk about the proper perspective. What you do is you've got to understand that when you are 13 years old and over, your swim meets are now dress rehearsals. That's the secret value of in-season swim meets for those of you who are 13 years old and over. They're dress rehearsals. Imagine you're in a play, right? And you just show up at the play and you haven't really done a whole lot of dress rehearsal. You just, I know my lines. And the play goes without a hitch. It goes perfectly. That's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. You've got to have the dress rehearsals. You got to go through the tough parts. You got to memorize your lines. You've got to mess up on your lines. You've got to be corrected by the director. You've got to understand how to work with your fellow actors to make sure that on show night, when the curtain goes up, you are ready to roll. And in 13 and over swimming, the dress rehearsals are these meets in the middle of the season. Meet after meet after meet. And you go to these meets and you swim your races. But again, most of the time, you're not going to get lifetime best times. Okay? But it's a dress rehearsal. You're practicing for the end of the season. And that's the plan. Okay? I'm going to give you six ways to understand how to succeed and how to survive and thrive as a 13 and over swimmer, so we don't get disenchanted, so we don't quit the sport, so we understand that what's happening is what's supposed to be happening. Got it? Okay. Number one, you got to understand the plan. Your coach is putting you through a process and a plan to basically beat you down during the season. And then you got to get up at these in-season meets and you got to do your best while your body is sore and aching and tired. You got to do your best to get as close to your best times as you can. Yes, we want to get best times, but you got to understand your body is under duress. It is tough, but that's the plan. Your coach is trying to beat you down in a nice way so that when you get to the end of the season and you get to rest and you get to wear that super expensive suit, right? And you get to rest, you get to shave, you get to put on that suit, you're gonna crush it. But in the meantime, you've got to do the dress rehearsals. You've got to understand the plan. Your coach is beating you down for a reason. You know, you go to the weight room, you lift weights, you get sore. But then guess what? When you recover, you're stronger than ever. And that's the deal. That's the deal with 13 and over swimming. It's not going to every swim meet every weekend and knocking out best times. It's getting up there to the dress rehearsals. You're sore and you're tired, and you do the best you can. Okay? That's number one. Understand the plan. Number two, you got to understand your body. Okay? You got to understand that once you are 13 years old or 14 years old, your muscles are going to ache. You're no longer little kids. You have big kid muscles. Okay? So it's going to ache. You're going to have pains. That's part of the deal. Nothing is wrong. Okay? Nothing is wrong. It's supposed to be this way. Because when you break down the muscles, when you have those bigger muscles, you break them down. When they come back at the end of the season, when you're rested, you're going to be stronger than ever. And you're going to swim faster than ever. And that's what we want to do. Okay, now, number three. Here's how we're surviving and thriving during these in-season meets. Number three is you got to go as fast as you can. You can't chalk it up and say, well, Coach Larry said 90% of the time I'm probably not going to get a best time. You got to still go for those best times. You got to challenge yourself to get as close as you possibly can to getting lifetime best times. Okay? You want to put your body through that duress, through the challenge. Okay? You don't want to chalk it up and say, well, I'll just swim and I'll just kind of try. No, you want to do your best, because sometimes, usually about 10% of the time, you will knock out a best time in the middle of the season. But take heart. 90% of the time you won't, but you got to try to get there. You got to give it your best effort. Okay? Number four, work on your strategies. In the middle of the season, this is your dress rehearsal. So you want to work on the strategy for the 200 IM, the 500 free, the 200 butterfly. Work those strategies. Okay? Get used to the strategy, because when you come to the end of the season, you want to have a plan. When you're behind that block and you're feeling like $1 million, you want to know that strategy like the back of your hand. Okay? You got to know it. So do it now. Race your plan. Get together with your coach. Put together your strategies and fulfill it and live it and get on that block and go for those strategies. Got to do it. That's the dress rehearsal. Okay? That's setting you up for success at the end of the season. That's the value of your dress rehearsal. Okay, number five. If you're going to compare yourself, if you really want to see how you're doing from a time perspective, okay, say, okay, I'm going to look at my times. Yes. All right, how am I really doing? Here's what you need to do. It's called apples to apples. And it's not that board game that you play on New Year's Eve. It is comparing yourself right now to this time last year. So, look at your times this weekend, or at a meet you just recently swam in. Compare your times right now to this time last year. That way you can see an even comparison, because last year, guess what? You were tired. You were sore. It was January. You were in the middle of really tough training. So see how you're doing compared to last year. Compare apples to apples. Please don't make the mistake of comparing your times right now to last year when you were rested and shaved, tapered, in your awesome suit, psyched up at the end of the season. That's like comparing two different people. Okay? You got to compare yourself this year to yourself last year to see if you're making some progress with your times. So yes, your times matter, but compare apples to apples. Got it? Good. Otherwise, you're going to become disenchanted. You're going to be like, oh man, I'm 8 seconds slower than I was at the end of last season. Yeah. Yes, you are. That's part of the deal. Okay? But so compare apples to apples. That'll be the proper perspective. And finally, understand what you're doing. When you are at mid-season meets and in-season meets, you are making investments in yourself. It's like going to the bank and making deposits. Deposit after deposit after deposit. Race after race after race. You are putting your body through trauma at each one of these races, at each one of these meets. Your body needs to go through these things so that you can learn to respond and recover. Think about this. Think about an MMA match or a boxing match, right? You know, the boxer, the first couple of fights, boom, they get knocked in the jaw. It sends them into next week. But what do? They get back up and they start fighting again. Boom, they get nailed again. They get knocked back, but now they're able to get up and recover a little bit faster. That's why you can see these MMA matches or these boxing matches, and these people take a pummeling. Bang, punch after punch after punch. And what do? They get back up. Why? Because their bodies have become accustomed to the trauma. Swimmers, when you get up on that block and you are dead tired in January, and you race and your body, and you feel like you're gonna die, right? Your legs feel like they're gonna fall off on that last turn of the 500 free. You know what I'm talking about. That's just like getting punched in the jaw, but you get back up on the block and you swim your next race, and you feel like you got punched again, and you keep getting up and getting up and getting up, and you get used to it, and you get accustomed to it, so that, listen, so that when you get to the end of the season, you are ready to race. You are ready to go to your swim meet, your end of season meet, your championship meet, and you're ready to crush that race. And then you get back up for your next race, and you crush that next race over and over and over. You are ready and you're prepared. And that is the secret value of in-season meets. Remember, we're not in Kansas anymore, Toto, okay? This is a new day. It's not 12 and under swimming where every race is a best time. Woo! Look at me, Mom, smile. Okay, remember, we've got to look through different lenses. Now, you got to see that your swimming experience is now viewed through a different set of lenses. Your success is having great dress rehearsals, swimming as fast as you can, following your strategy, trying new skills, taking that punch on the jaw and getting back up over and over and over again, and getting up for those early practices. And yes, I know you're spending money. Moms and dads, I know you're spending money. I know it's long weekends. I know that your swimmer may get in the car and complain and say, oh, this is terrible, but that's what's supposed to happen. You got to understand, that's the success. That's the success of in-season meets, doing it, making it happen. In fact, I would say in-season meets are the most important meets of your swimmer's experience, because they get your swimmer ready for the end of the season. When at the end of the season, you're rested and you get to wear that awesome suit, and all of a sudden you hear the angels break into this chorus, and you're swimming and you can't miss, and you keep hitting time after time after time, best time, best time, best time. And that's when it's really, really fun. Okay? So please don't get disenchanted. Please understand the value of in-season meets. It's a dress rehearsal. It's getting you ready for showtime. And that's the fun, and that's the excitement at the end of the season. Got it? Awesome. All right, so I want to thank all you guys for tuning in tonight. I'm gonna scroll through the pages here. All right, so I want to see if anybody has any questions. Appreciate you guys joining tonight. If you do have any questions, this would be a great time to ask. Okay, so if you have any questions, pop them up on the screen. In the meantime, let's go out, keep pursuing your goals, keep jumping those hurdles. Again, if you didn't get a chance to watch those last Facebook Live about how to set goals, how to achieve goals, and how to jump hurdles when they come along, please go check those out. Keep pursuing those goals. Remember, in-season meets, dress rehearsals. This is the time when you get tough, so that at the end of the season, you are ready to roll. Okay? Awesome. Okay, now, you can go back and watch the Chiefs versus the Steelers. I know they're on right now. So, enjoy the game. Enjoy another great week of practices, swimmers. If you have any questions about this or about any of the one-to-one offerings or any of the lessons that we offer, go to our website, iswim121.com, and you can find out all sorts of good stuff. All right, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.